Vancouver's real estate market, once heralded as one of the safest and most lucrative investments in the country, is now in the midst of a severe crisis. While the city's sky-high housing prices have been making headlines for years, the latest threat to the stability of this market comes from a much less anticipated issue: heat pump failures in newly constructed condos. The problems began innocuously enough. Isolated reports of malfunctioning systems quickly spread throughout various strata buildings in the city, but what followed was nothing short of catastrophic. Heat pumps, essential for regulating heating and cooling in modern Vancouver condos, have been failing at an unprecedented rate, leaving condo owners grappling with mounting repair costs, plunging property values, and an overall sense of betrayal. As more and more units are affected, experts and developers are scrambling to diagnose the cause of the failures. However, many of the buildings hit hardest by the issue were completed just within the last few years, built using what were supposed to be state-of-the-art systems. These aren't just any technical malfunctions, they're failures that threaten to destroy the value of properties purchased at premium prices. Vancouver's once booming condo market is now experiencing a drastic turn of events that no one expected. What was considered an attractive investment has now become a financial liability for thousands of buyers. This is not a minor glitch in the system. This is a full-blown crisis that is beginning to reverberate through the city's real estate industry. According to recent estimates, nearly 40% of Vancouver's newer condos have been impacted by these heat pump failures, a figure that continues to rise as more reports flood in. The implications of these failures are vast, affecting not just the homeowners but also the broader housing market in Vancouver. Buyers who once saw themselves as fortunate to own property in this coveted city now find themselves trapped in a nightmare of repair costs and declining property values. For many, the financial strain is devastating. Condo owners are being told that replacing or repairing the malfunctioning systems will cost anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on the size of the building and the extent of the damage. In a city where the average price of a condo is upwards of $700,000, this repair bill is a hefty sum that many owners simply cannot afford. These unexpected costs are driving more and more homeowners into financial distress, and in some cases, leading to forced sales of their properties at a loss. The city's developers, once heralded as the architects of Vancouver's skyline, are now facing their own reckoning. Several major construction firms, including some of the largest in the country, are now bankrupt or teetering on the edge of collapse, unable to cover the mounting costs of heat pump replacements. As these companies falter, buyers are left to pick up the pieces, often with no clear recourse. Vancouver's real estate market has always been a cornerstone of the local economy, but the ongoing failures are shaking the very foundation of this once stable sector. Mortgages are becoming increasingly difficult to secure as lenders pull back from financing condo purchases in the city. Banks are unwilling to take on the risks associated with properties that are already losing value at an alarming rate. In fact, several major financial institutions have already pulled their investments from Vancouver's condo market, leaving it in an even more precarious position. As the crisis deepens, the strain is beginning to show in the wider Vancouver economy. Real estate, which has long been a major contributor to the city's growth, is now at risk of causing a significant economic downturn. With condo prices in free fall and the value of newly built units declining daily, Vancouver's broader housing market is starting to feel the effects. The real estate sector, once seen as a solid investment for both domestic and international buyers, is quickly becoming a financial minefield. As more and more developers and investors pull out of the market, the city's once thriving housing industry is beginning to collapse under its own weight. For homeowners, the consequences are immediate and severe. The crisis has left many people trapped in properties they can no longer afford or sell. While some may be able to shoulder the burden of repairs, for others, it's a choice between facing crippling debt or walking away from their homes altogether. The heat pump crisis is also casting a long shadow over Vancouver's rental market. With property values continuing to decline, investors who had once flocked to Vancouver in search of lucrative rental income are now facing losses on their investments. The city's rental prices, which were once among the highest in the country, are starting to slide as demand for condo rentals drops. For those who have rented out their units, the market's downturn means that the once lucrative rental income is no longer as reliable as it once was. The situation is further compounded by the ongoing supply chain issues that have plagued Vancouver's construction industry in recent years. Building materials have become increasingly difficult to source, and the cost of construction has skyrocketed. This has resulted in further delays in repairs and replacements for heat pumps in affected buildings. Developers, already reeling from the initial costs of constructing their condos, now find themselves burdened with the added expense of replacing these essential systems. As the cost of construction materials continues to rise, new condo projects are being delayed or canceled altogether. What was once a booming sector of the economy is now facing massive uncertainty, and experts are warning that it may take years to fully recover. The political landscape is also adding fuel to the fire. Vancouver's local government, caught between the pressures of a declining real estate market and the growing discontent of residents, is struggling to find a way forward. Some officials are calling for immediate action to address the heat pump failures, while others argue that this is simply a consequence of the city's rapid development and over-reliance on the condo market. What is clear, however, is that the situation has reached a critical point. The city's leadership is under increasing pressure to provide answers to a population that feels betrayed by a market that was once touted as a safe and stable investment. The growing frustration among Vancouver residents is palpable. Many condo owners feel they have been misled by developers, financial institutions, and local government officials who failed to warn them about the risks associated with investing in the city's real estate market. What was once seen as a symbol of stability and prosperity has now turned into a financial quagmire for thousands of families. The emotional toll on homeowners has been significant, with many feeling helpless and trapped in a situation that they have no control over. For many, the heat pump crisis is just the latest in a series of blows to their sense of security in Vancouver's housing market. As the crisis continues to unfold, the future of Vancouver's real estate market remains uncertain, with heat pump failures plaguing newly built condos, financial institutions pulling out of the market, and developers going bankrupt. The city's once thriving housing market is on the brink of collapse. The heat pump crisis is more than just a technical failure. It's a warning sign of a much larger issue that could shake the very foundation of Vancouver's economy. If this trend continues, experts warn that Vancouver's housing market could face a collapse on the scale of what was seen during the 2008 global financial crisis. The question now is not whether the market will recover, but how long it will take, and how many homeowners and investors will be left holding the bag. The heat pump failures in Vancouver are not just a real estate issue. They are a symptom of a much deeper problem that is affecting the entire city. What is happening in Vancouver's condo market is a wake-up call for anyone invested in the city's real estate sector. If this crisis is not addressed soon, it could have far-reaching consequences for the city's economy and its residents. This is a time of uncertainty, and the future of Vancouver's housing market is anything but secure. What comes next will depend on the actions of developers, homeowners, and government officials. But one thing is clear: the situation in Vancouver is dire, and the clock is ticking. As the heat pump crisis continues to wreak havoc on Vancouver's condo market, the economic fallout is becoming increasingly evident. For homeowners, the stakes have never been higher. What was once a thriving market, offering the promise of home ownership and financial security, has turned into a volatile, unpredictable landscape. The question that now looms over Vancouver's real estate sector is how long it will take for this crisis to resolve, and what long-term damage will be inflicted upon the city's economy. With more and more condo owners reporting failures and no clear solution in sight, the ripple effects are only just beginning to spread. The impact on Vancouver's housing market extends far beyond the immediate crisis of heat pump failures. For many buyers, especially those who bought in the past few years, the reality is stark. They are now faced with the prospect of paying for expensive repairs and facing a devalued property. For some, their investment has already been wiped out, with condo values dropping dramatically. In the worst-case scenarios, owners are finding themselves unable to sell their units at all. As prices continue to plummet, the notion of Vancouver's real estate market being a solid investment is starting to crumble. The sense of stability that many once relied on has been replaced with fear and uncertainty. But the financial strain is only part of the picture. For many people, the stress of dealing with malfunctioning heat pumps has become a daily burden. In buildings where multiple units are affected, entire communities are now experiencing the fallout. Condo owners are left grappling with increased energy costs, as inefficient heating systems fail to provide adequate warmth during the winter months. For those who have already invested heavily in their homes, this additional financial strain is a heavy blow. Many residents are reporting sleepless nights, unable to escape the anxiety of how they will manage the mounting costs. In some cases, families have had to make difficult choices, sacrificing other essential expenses just to keep up with repair bills. The political response to the crisis has been slow, and it's becoming increasingly apparent that local government officials are struggling to find a viable solution. While some leaders have acknowledged the scale of the problem, others have attempted to downplay it, suggesting that these failures are simply part of the growing pains associated with rapid urban development. But as the crisis escalates, the calls for action are growing louder. Vancouver residents are demanding that the government step in to address the issue, with some even calling for compensation or assistance to help cover the costs of repairs. However, the bureaucratic hurdles to implementing such measures are proving difficult to overcome. The city's leadership is also facing a growing backlash from developers, who are scrambling to find solutions to the problem. Some are resorting to drastic measures, such as cutting corners on repairs, hoping that they can avoid taking full responsibility for the failures. However, this approach is only adding to the uncertainty and frustration felt by condo owners. As developers try to save face, the risk of further damage to the reputation of Vancouver's real estate industry continues to rise. With the prospect of more building failures on the horizon, buyers and investors are losing faith in the market. Vancouver's property market, which has been one of the most active and expensive in the country, is beginning to unravel. The chain reaction of financial instability is spreading to other sectors of the economy. With banks and lending institutions pulling back from offering financing, fewer new buyers are entering the market. The ripple effect of the heat pump crisis is now being felt in every corner of Vancouver's housing market, with even older buildings beginning to see a drop in value as the broader market experiences turmoil. As the supply of condos in the city increases, demand continues to falter, leaving Vancouver's once booming real estate sector in free fall. This crisis is not just a financial one, it is also a social issue that is having real consequences for Vancouver's residents. Condo owners, once the proud holders of a valuable asset, are now watching as their homes lose value and in some cases become outright liabilities. The human cost of this crisis is immense. Many people have put their life savings into purchasing a condo, believing that it would secure their future. Now, they are left with nothing but mounting debt and the uncertainty of how to fix the problems plaguing their homes. The emotional toll on Vancouver's condo owners cannot be overstated. The dream of homeownership, so deeply ingrained in Canadian culture, has been shattered for many people. As the city tries to come to terms with the scale of the crisis, experts are warning that this issue is far from over. While heat pump failures have been the focus of much of the recent attention, the broader problems within Vancouver's housing market are much more complex. Developers, builders, and investors who once viewed Vancouver as a gold mine are now facing massive losses, and the ripple effect of this economic instability could continue for years. The heat pump debacle is just one symptom of a much larger problem within the city's real estate market, and until the underlying issues are addressed, Vancouver's condo market will continue to suffer. In the midst of this turmoil, there are still those who believe the market can be salvaged. Some hope that the city's leadership will act quickly to remedy the situation, but the odds are stacked against them. As more buildings face heat pump failures and property values continue to slide, the reality is that Vancouver's condo market may never recover to its former heights. The question now is not whether the market will rebound, but how much damage will be done before a solution is found. But amidst the chaos, there may still be a glimmer of hope for some. As the crisis deepens, opportunities may arise for those who are able to navigate the shifting landscape of Vancouver's real estate market. Buyers who have been waiting on the sidelines may soon find themselves with the chance to purchase properties at significantly reduced prices. While the market may never return to its previous glory, there is potential for those willing to take risks and invest in the city's future. For now, however, Vancouver's condo market remains in turmoil, and the fate of many homeowners and investors is uncertain. As the heat pump crisis continues to unfold, Vancouver's residents, developers, and government officials are faced with difficult decisions. The market is reeling, and the path forward remains unclear. What happens next will have profound implications for the future of Vancouver's housing market and the city itself. In the meantime, the heat pump crisis serves as a stark reminder that even the most stable and prosperous markets can be brought to their knees by unforeseen events. The real estate boom in Vancouver may be over, but the fight for stability is just beginning.